The road was empty, moonlight casting a silver sheen over the asphalt as crickets chirped in the background. He was driving alone, lost in thought, not expecting anything out of the ordinary on this peaceful night. The hum of the engine was the only sound accompanying his solitude, until a blur of white darted across the road. He slammed the brakes. Heart pounding, he squinted through the windshield and saw her. A woman, barefoot, her once elegant wedding dress now torn and dirty, trailing behind her like a ghost of a forgotten fairy tale. Her hair was tangled, her makeup smeared, and her eyes, wide with terror, locked onto his for a brief second before she stumbled toward the edge of the road. Without thinking, he jumped out of the car. "Hey, are you okay?" he called out, taking slow steps toward her. She hesitated. Her breath came in sharp gasps, her hands shaking. "Please, don't take me back." He was stunned. "Back where?" "The wedding," she whispered. "I ran. I couldn't do it. I couldn't marry him." That's how it began, a chance meeting on a quiet road between a man and a runaway bride. But this wasn't just any bride. And this wasn't just any escape. What followed was a story of love, trust, and finding freedom in the most unexpected places. She was supposed to marry into wealth, into a life most girls dreamed of. The groom was a millionaire, young, powerful, and admired by society. Her family had arranged everything. Lavish venue, designer dress, elite guest list, and a future paved with gold. But none of it mattered to her. Because beneath all the glitter was a cage. She didn't love him. In fact, she barely knew him. The few conversations they'd had were cold and rehearsed, as if he was checking boxes on a list of requirements. He didn't ask what made her laugh, what dreams she carried, or what fears kept her up at night. He wanted a trophy wife, not a partner. For months, she tried to convince herself it would be fine. That love could grow, that comfort was enough. But as the wedding day neared, the weight of the illusion became unbearable. Her dreams of becoming a teacher, of traveling the world, of living on her own terms, they were all fading behind layers of silken expectation. So, just moments before the ceremony, she did the unthinkable. She ran. No phone, no plan, just instinct. And that's when fate, or maybe grace, put her in his path. He didn't ask too many questions at first. He saw her pain, her desperation, and simply said, "Get in." "I'll drive." She hesitated, scanning the road behind her. No headlights, no angry voices, just silence. "You're not going to turn me in?" she asked. "No," he replied softly. "You look like someone who just made the bravest decision of her life." "I'm not about to undo that." She climbed in. The hours that followed were quiet. They drove through small towns, back roads, past midnight diners and shuttered gas stations. She finally told him her name, Elena. And he told her his, Ryan. He was a carpenter, working in a nearby town, passionate about building things with his hands. Nothing fancy, no suits, no boardrooms. Just wood, tools, and patience. As the night wore on, she shared her story. And he listened, really listened. Not once did he interrupt or offer hollow reassurances. Instead, he nodded, offering the occasional kind word or question that showed he cared. At a small diner around 2 a.m., they stopped for coffee. She looked at her reflection in the bathroom mirror, messy hair, ruined gown, tired eyes. And yet, for the first time in years, she saw someone free. Not perfect, not polished, but alive. He offered her his jacket when they left the diner. It was too big, smelled of pine and sawdust, and felt more comforting than anything money could buy. By dawn, they had driven. For miles. He asked her, "Where do you want to go?" She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Anywhere I can start over. Somewhere no one knows me. Somewhere I can breathe." He thought for a moment, then smiled. "I know a place." It was a small coastal town, tucked between hills and sea. No skyscrapers, no paparazzi, just people who knew each other by name, where neighbors shared fresh pies and laughter over fences. It was the kind of place where no one cared about your past, only how you treated them now. He had a spare room in the home he built himself, and she stayed there for the first few weeks. Each day, she helped around the house, cooked, read books she'd always wanted to read, and slowly began to rediscover who she was. He never pushed, never crossed boundaries. He simply offered presence and peace. Sometimes they'd sit on the porch and watch the waves. She talked about her dreams, how she wanted to teach children, how she missed painting, how she'd always wanted to ride a motorcycle. He laughed and told her about the first chair he ever built. And how it broke the second someone sat on it. Laughter returned to her life. So did Hope. Over time, she found work at the local school, started taking painting classes at the community center, wore sneakers instead of heels, drank tea with the elderly librarian who reminded her of her grandmother. And every day, she grew more into herself. People in town began to know her not as the runaway bride, but as Elena, the bright, kind woman who brought color and joy wherever she went. And then one day, as they were walking along the beach, Ryan gently took her hand. She didn't pull away. Their eyes met, and for the first time, there were no questions. Just understanding. It wasn't a grand confession or a sudden kiss. It was something deeper, a quiet knowing that whatever this was between them, it was real. Built not on fantasy or pressure, but on choice. On respect. On the beauty of taking things slow. Months passed. Her old life tried to reach her, tabloids, gossip, even a few messages from her family begging her to come back. But she didn't. She had found something far more precious than riches or status. She had found herself. And love. It didn't arrive with a bang, but like a soft tide, steady, patient, and healing. Eventually, they did fall in love. Not the kind that burns fast and dies out, but the kind that grows strong over time, rooted in truth. He never tried to save her. He simply walked beside her while she saved herself. And that, perhaps, is the most powerful kind of love there is. So if you ever feel trapped, remember this: it's never too late to run. To choose yourself. To leave behind what's expected and chase what sets your soul on fire. You might not meet a stranger on the road, but you will meet yourself. And that will always be enough. Thank you for watching this story. If it touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Soul Stirring Stories. We bring you emotional journeys that remind us all of the strength, kindness, and beauty that still exist in this world. Let's continue to believe in love. Not the perfect kind, but the real kind. #emotional stories, #touching stories, #heartwarming stories, #soul stirring stories.